Hi, I'm Stuart, and this is a short vlog of 3 days away camping. Now, if that sounds something that interests you, come along. The aircraft we've got only got one seat, so it's going to be very much that you get a pilot's eye view the whole way through. And as we go, I'll try and point out things that are of interest. So if you think that might interest you, come along, let's get going. So this is the aircraft we're going to be using, a Streak Shadow with a 912 engine, and we're lining up here on runway 18 at Old Park Farm, and let's get going. I don't need to tell you what's happening. Okay, so where are we heading off on the first leg? A short leg, just 69 miles across Newport and then over to Garston Farm, which is in the Cotswolds. Now the first part was pretty cloudy and I was fairly low, but once I got to the River Severn here, it cleared up tremendously, and as you can see, there was a good view. I was able to climb a little bit higher, and it's not far from the coast there to Garston Farm. So here we are, just approaching Garston Farm. There's the village, I think it's called Marshfield, just on the right, bottom of the screen, and there's Garston Farm just above the words there. So we come round and join downwind. There's nobody else there flying, had PPR. So let's speed this up a little bit. So we're just turning onto base leg here, having just gone round a village. And there's a airfield the right of the screen, Clern disused ahead of us, and we're turning here now onto finals. This is runway 27 of
Garston Farm traffic, Echo final 27 Garston Farm.
Just on the right there is a recycling plant which had quite a few birds which you see fly up in a moment. Also there's telegraph poles or power lines to the left, but the power lines are actually buried across the threshold of the runway. Having been here before and been spooked by that, something I've learned. A really long grass runway, no problems getting it down, just float along a bit so I don't have to taxi so far. Slightly uphill in this direction, ever so slightly. Right, let's just fast forward this in. Don't taxi this quickly. Yeah, past the windsock, round and down, and there's a good caravan with a kettle and all the rest of it. The essentials of life. So the first leg of the journey is over. Here we are at Garston Farm, and as you can see, a beautiful setup at Cotswolds. I've booked in. Also now had my briefing from Zach at Branscombe, which is the next destination. So, having had a pot noodle, I'm ready to get going. Okay, so taxiing out right back to the hold of runway 27, to the threshold there. There's the power lines I was mentioning before on the way in. In comes the power, RPM building. And off we take. To the right there you can see the owner's farmhouse and also where the hangars are of the resident aircraft. Now as you take off on this runway you have to bear left to avoid flying the village. So you'll just notice here now we just started to turn left to avoid causing any complaints of noise from the village of Marshfield there. So this is the route for the next leg. We're going to go from Garston Farm right down past Bristol and past Bath first of all. Fairly low there because we're underneath Bristol's controlled airspace, and then we're going to go round. I was speaking to Yeovilton, had a service from them and a discreet squawk, but they obviously weren't that interested in me. I kept down to their controlled airspace. So here we are, almost now down at the coast. It was a distance of 82 miles this leg. It took an hour and 13 minutes in all, and that gave us an average speed of about 84. So just as we were approaching Branscombe, look at that, how quickly that appears from nowhere and passes right overhead, thank goodness. And this is the big circuit we have at Branscombe Farm. So here we are, we're just coming into the overhead at Branscombe. The farm is right down there on the left. You can't really see it, that's just some of the caravans. I was looking out to the left here, and on the left you can see there the runway is, and I'm struggling down to look at where the windsock is. So I think it just comes into view in a second. Yep, there it is. We'll just put a circle around it, and there's the village of Branscombe down in that valley, and we pass over the top and carry on to the coast. Now Zach had warned me that it's quite often a lot of paragliders on the coast. I had seen some further up, but kept a good lookout, and there was none on this part of the cliffs. As I came over the cliffs, and as you can see down there to the left, actually on the cliff face there seems to be, like, I don't know, holiday huts, or not caravans really, just literally built onto the hillside there. It looks all very beautiful. And as we turned to do the downwind leg, the sun was behind me, and of course the coast looks so much better and clearer looking down sun. So we've got to go quite a long way down here. I'm going to speed it up in a moment for you. We've got to go past that valley and round that other village. Again, all to avoid disturbing the neighbours. So let's speed this up a little bit. I'm only double speed because it's so beautiful. It's worth having a look at. There's the villages down there. I think it's over the headland. There's Seaton is the next village along. Nothing much out to see. And let's have a look. We're down into that valley, making sure we go right past that valley before we turn onto base leg, left base for, I think it's runway 27 again, yeah. Around we come. Plenty of fields, should it all go quiet, which we're hoping it isn't. And now we're looking back towards the airfield. Okay, I'll just put a circle around that so you can see it. That's the airfield there, that field there. We've got to fly through the centre line, again just to avoid certain houses. So we've gone past the centre line, and now we'll turn and come sweeping in, and hopefully we'll keep everybody happy. I mean, I'm throttled really back here, really slow. I'm very quiet, just descending down. So I say quite a way off the centre line here, but then we've got to do this sort of dog leg in, again just to avoid some residents. There we are, slowly coming back to capture the centre line. The wind is from the left, coming from the sea, a sea breeze, which is a bit strange because everywhere else it had been a northerly breeze. But that's a sea breeze effect for you. The runway here is very long, over 700 metres. Bearing in mind Old Park Farm is only just over 300 metres, so it's twice as long as what my home base is used to. Going expect a little bit of turbulence off these trees, but the wind wasn't much and the turbulence wasn't too bad. Notice there's power lines paralleling the runway on the left. There's a windsock, as I say, not much of a crosswind at all. And tacks it in, which was quite amusing because you come literally to a dead end on the runway, which is rather unusual in a way. So as it came up, there was a lot of the campers had come out to watch me arrive, which I found quite amusing. Quite a few of them videoing me in there. And Chris and Zach there, on the campsite on the left there, advising me to park on the left. So just park there and I'll drag it in a moment.
Don't think I've ever had such a big crowd. Yes.
You are?
Yeah, I spoke to Tracy earlier.
Yeah.
That's it.
A long old flight down.
Well, I started off at Port Talbot this morning,
Yeah.
and then went over to Garston Farm, and then I had considered the Scilly Isles, but the weather's not as good as they had kind of forecast. I know, yeah. Further up, you're getting the sea breeze further inland. It's not so good.
Interestingly, we've got a scout group in here tonight, and another pilot's coming in.
Oh, excellent.
With Zach Cooksley, doing a bit of a Q&A session with the Cub Scouts to earn their badge for aviation.
Oh, right.
So it's actually interesting your planes here, so they can point out the differences between an underwing and an overwing. And
Brilliant, yeah. Who? Are you Zach?
I'm Zach.
Hi Zach, thanks very much for the briefing. It worked down to treat.
Okay.
Did the heights and and it's very obvious that big valley and what have you.
Yeah, it is.
And,
When
yeah.
you get here, it's like, I don't know what it was all about. That's what I say to people, but yeah.
Yeah, I could see paragliders further up the coast.
Is there actually?
Yeah,
Okay,
but
thought it might be. Yeah, that's good. The biggest one really is on 10, because you notice the massive barn over there, the cow shed.
Oh right, yeah.
That cow shed there, and then you've got the village of Weston just beyond it.
Yep.
You have to go dead between them. I mean,
Oh, is that?
see which runway it is when you...
And was I glad that I'd tied it down securely, because when this fella arrived in the RV, he had to put a load of power in to turn round. And that was covered my aircraft in cut grass and gave him a good shape to the tent as well. Children seem to enjoy it. It's a funny thing, I was standing talking to a gentleman there, and we found out we'd both gone to the same school just south of Derby, different times, but a small school in a small village. Small world. Just a few yards from the airfield. It says 1.5 miles to Branscombe, down these lovely lanes. You hadn't gone far, and the first thing you come to is the village sign. What was so nice, it was downhill all the way down there, past lovely cottages, lovely thatched cottage there. Some of the older cottages had name plaques on from the 15th century, dating from 1537, I think that was. The pub closes on, or doesn't serve food on a Monday, which is a bit disappointing, but not a problem. So then it was uphill home, and finally to bed. And the next day, well, that's a different video. And if you fancy watching that, you're welcome to.